Hi, I'm Liz. I'm a registered dietitian focused on hormones health. I've been working with women for over 10 years, helping especially busy moms who are tired of being tired, oftentimes doing all the right things, eating healthy, exercising, but just can't seem to break free. By 3 p.m., you're exhausted, maybe bloated, your pants are just uncomfortable, you're seeing weight gain come on, you're snapping, more irritable, maybe snapping at your kids, and that instantly leads you to feeling ashamed and guilty as to just why can't I get this together? I should be able to handle this. And as a busy mom myself, I totally relate. And it's one of those things where it's so easy, almost easier, which sounds weird, but it's almost easier to just be busy and tune out of what your body needs and what you need because there is so much being asked of you. But I want to talk here quick about really the two cycle loops that I see women stuck in and why they don't see changes when they maybe focus on their diet or focus on exercise. Why the body just doesn't seem to let up, doesn't seem to let the weight loss happen when you're doing the same things that worked for you 10, 20 years ago, but they're just not working now. So let's jump into it. The first cycle that I see women stuck in is the stress hormone connection. And what this is when we're really busy day to day, we're multitasking, we have just mental overload, so many tabs open in your brain. What's going on there is it's not just an emotional stress, but your brain is actually perceiving that and signaling out to the rest of your body. And cortisol starts to rise. So, cortisol being kind of what we term our stress hormone. And it is good in itself, but when it is constantly being flooded out, it affects everything else. So, what we see is cortisol becomes elevated, and the first hormone that gets affected is your progesterone levels. And so when I see women and we have these low progesterone levels, it's not just going to affect your cycle, which it does lead to heavier, painful periods, more PMS, more irritability, depression, anxiety, especially prior to your period. But we also end up in this low progesterone leads to blood sugar swings. That brings on that fatigue, those energy crashes that you're having in the afternoon. And when our blood sugar is crashing, it leads to higher cortisol levels. So it's just this cycle that if you don't break it, it'll keep going. And it's easy again to kind of be like, well, it's just this phase of life. Right now, things are really busy. It's going to get better. I'll focus on it when it gets better. And it's like, well, I think we're old enough now to know. I mean, I can look back and think when my children were babies and I'm like in that phase of life, I was like, oh, this is really tough. It's so busy. It's going to get better though when they're a little older. And now they're older and I'm like, it's not easier. So it's different. It doesn't get easier. So don't push this off. If you're not feeling good, if you're exhausted, if you're bloated, if you're feeling more and more disconnected from your body, this is the time to do something because when we're in our 30s and we're feeling like this and we're stuck in these cycles, it only can get worse because as we get older, our hormones are going to be shifting and dropping through perimenopause into menopause. And that means that everything that's going on with cortisol and stress and these hormone pathways gets even messier. So, right now really is the perfect time to be addressing and learning how you can make shifts in your routine, in your diet, in your lifestyle that are going to support your body right now and break free from this cycle. So, starting with kind of just one small shift that you can do today when we're talking about the stress hormone connection is if you remember, I said the cortisol being elevated can then affect that blood sugar swing. So, one thing you can do starting right now would be in the morning before having coffee. I want you to drink at least 16 ounces of water and I want you to eat at least 20 grams of protein before you have coffee. And that probably means that you're going to push coffee off a little bit longer. And that's a good thing too, because your cortisol is going to rise the most in the morning upon waking, or at least it should. If you're not feeling that kind of energy focus boost, then that's another problem that we need to be addressing. But that cortisol should be rising, kind of, we call it our cortisol awakening response within the first 2 hours of waking. So pushing off coffee a little longer and making sure that you're getting a good protein rich meal is going to help with your cortisol and it's going to help with your blood sugar. Okay, let's jump into the second cycle that I see women stuck in. It's closely tied to the first one, but the second one is really kind of like a missing piece when it comes to our cortisol and our day-to-day rhythm. It's our nervous system. And if our nervous system is stuck in this fight or flight, you're running on caffeine, not enough food coming in, not regular meals and snacks, you're mentally overloaded, your body stays stuck in survival mode. When it is stuck in survival mode, guess what it's not doing? It's not digesting. So when you do bring food in, you're probably getting bloated, uncomfortable. You're also not going to absorb those nutrients because they're not going to get broken down as well, which leads to nutrient deficiencies. I see that a lot. Um, you get stuck with that cortisol coming up and those blood sugars that leads to that belly fat. And you also often get stuck in that fatigue and you just can't break free from just feeling tired. Like you're just constantly trying to get yourself up. That might lead you to drinking more caffeine, which does not help. Or if it does, it is the smallest, shortest window of help before it crashes again and leads you in a worse place. So, when talking about the nervous system, this is one of the main like foundations that I'm teaching women is it's so much more than like just breathing or meditation, not really a realistic thing for most of us busy moms, myself included. So when we talk about nervous system, it's really understanding what that communication is within the body and how we can best support that through diet, through our activity, through our day to day. And breathing can be a super helpful one. So that is actually going to be what I walk you through here in a second. But I want you to understand that that nervous system missing piece, when we're not supporting it, what happens is you're stuck in that fat storage mode. Your body will not release weight. And so if you try to push it harder, you try to restrict further, so lower calories, more exercise, you're only putting your body into a more of a survival state. It's just keeps reinforcing that idea that things are not safe. And when you do that, your body will store any amount of extra energy calories that it can as fat, and it will not touch that fat. Think of that as its energy store, its savings account. It will not touch that fat. It will not release it unless it feels safe to do so. And unfortunately, right now with the weight loss medications, it's like, well, people are just taking the medications, they're not changing anything else, and they're seeing weight loss. It's like, well, that's true, but the body is doing that in a state that it does not want to do it. And what that means is that the body remembers its weight point. And so many women come to me after weight loss medications, whether they don't work or they worked, and then all of a sudden the weight is right back as soon as they stopped. And that's because they didn't lose that weight in a state where the body felt safe. And so what the body just kept telling itself is, well, as soon as we do get more calories, we're going to store and get back up to that safe weight that we were at. And so the nervous system is such a core piece when we're talking about women and hormones and especially weight loss. So weight loss really needs to be thought of as a symptom, and it is something where we will see that as a good result, a good effect of the body being in a restful, safe nervous system state, cortisol functioning well, our other hormones like estrogen, progesterone are functioning and in optimal levels. And when we see that whole combination together, that's where you not only feel your best, but you're seeing results, and those results are sticking with you long term. I wanted to share just a couple examples of clients that I've recently worked with. So Megan came to me thinking, it's just stress, life's busy, I've got little kids right now. She was skipping meals, cutting carbs. And what she didn't realize is that carbs influence our hormone production. They influence our neurotransmitter production. So her skipping meals, cutting carbs was just directly linked to increased anxiety, depression, lower libido, heavy painful periods, PMS. And it also kept her body in this survival mode where she wasn't seeing any improvement in symptoms, no matter what she did. And she was extremely tired. Not a good place to be when you have little kids. I am very familiar with that. So you can see what Megan, after working with her, teaching her, how she can take her busy life right now and really adjust her eating pattern, adjust her lifestyle, and add in some nervous system techniques to fit, that she felt so much better. And I think the thing I love the most, I bolded of what she said, is I know life throws curveballs, but from what I have learned, the strategies, the supplements, I now feel confident I know how to get back on track. So I love that because it's not only, working together that you feel good right now after, as we're working together and when you're done, but you also can take everything you learned and carry that with you forward because we know that life is always going to throw us some curveballs. Next, I have Carrie. She was thinking, I'm in my 30s. Every other woman I talk to feels similar. It's just this phase of life. I just need to get through it and then things will get better. She was pushing herself hard at the gym, workout classes. But what was happening, one, I think we all know, life changes, but it doesn't get easier. As soon as one thing gets taken off our plate, another thing gets added. So just getting through this phase of life is, I hope, not something that you're okay with. I hope you push yourself to be like, no, I should be enjoying my life right now. I want to enjoy my life right now. What also she didn't realize is that when cortisol is an issue and the nervous system's dysregulated, if you try pushing yourself harder in exercise or at the gym, it just reinforces to the body that things are not safe. And therefore, you're going to have this full resistance from the body if you're trying for weight loss. You're also going to have more fatigue. You're going to have more hormonal issues. But you can see it just helping Carrie to really start incorporating some nervous system techniques that fit with her life. And she also adjusted her diet, and we incorporated some supplements to help support stress and her phase of life right now. She had amazing results. She had a biometric screening at work and she lost 25 pounds. She just felt so much better overall. And her blood work showed that her estrogen came back up. So when she initially came to me, she also had low hormones, low estrogen. And so now she was able to see really where her hormones could be when they're at the optimal level and how beneficial that estrogen is. Estrogen helps us with our motivation. It helps us even with our confidence, our energy, our socializing. Estrogen fuels that. It also is a huge metabolic boost. So we want our estrogen to be at the best level that it can be at. Amy came to me. She was just under the impression I'm getting older. I just should get used to, I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to have less energy. I'm going to have brain fog. That's just part of getting older. She was trying intermittent fasting, where she was kind of trying to push herself as long as possible before she started eating in the day. So she was really only eating about 1 to 2 times a day. The problem with this is that pushing off your food longer and longer in the day is gonna tell your body again, it's not safe. We don't have access to food all the time like we used to. It also slows down your metabolism. So when you do put food in, the body is going to store more of those calories. And the other thing is that our body is set up on this 24-hour circadian rhythm to have the most digestive enzymes and juices and higher metabolic function earlier in the day. So when people are pushing themselves and eating then later in the day, they're also eating on a lower metabolic function. So helping Amy to really adjust and understand all this, adjust her diet, her eating pattern, and start to incorporate, exercises that worked for her body at that stage of life. You can see at age 55, she felt better than ever, which I think is so encouraging and promising to see. And she just really took everything to heart, and I loved how much she loved learning about what was going on. And again, she had the tools, she had the knowledge to take with her so that she can continue to feel this good. It is a long-lasting results that you can get when you truly learn and apply the changes and support for your body. So if you've been working out harder, cutting carbs, trying new supplements, and not seeing results, don't blame yourself. your body is stuck in that stress mode instead of the hormone rhythm that it's built for, it's designed for. And more restriction just leads to more issues. So, what you need is really regulation, and you need the right strategy on that root cause support and healing so that it works for your hormones specifically. So, imagine you wake up, you actually have energy that's stable throughout the day. You're not hitting this wall at 3 p.m. You feel calm throughout your cycle. You're not having these significant shifts, especially in your mood prior to your period. You're also not having bloating pop up every single day as the day goes on. And you just feel comfortable in your body again. And what we talk about in my program and what I teach you is not just food. We're really working to rebuild blood sugar stability, nervous system regulation, that hormone rhythm that you're designed for, and really that daily structure, which is probably the most important piece of where you're kind of flowing day in, day out, your routine so that it works for you in your season of life right now. And if you're done, you want to feel calm in your life, you want to feel confident in your routine and comfortable in your body. I hope that you fill out my application link below. We'll connect and touch base to make sure that we're a good fit together and we can just move forward from there. So I hope that you fill out the application and we can connect soon.